Hello, and thank you for downloading this video. It gives me a little bit of time just to explain what I've done to help you. Um, Basically, I'm semi-retired, and I used to set up accounting systems in Cape Town in South Africa for medium-sized businesses. They were fairly sophisticated, actually, accounting systems generally. And my experience was, having normally dealt with the owner of the business, so I would sit down and listen to him about how their business operates, what it actually does. And then I would sit there and make suggestions about how to actually implement an accounting system so that it would give reports that relate directly to how the operations run. And the intention of this is obviously to give the business owner reports that mean something to him, and that he can use those reports to make good business decisions. Is, first of all, when you set up an accounting system properly, it's helping the business owner save money. That happens almost immediately. But what it's also doing, and this takes a little bit longer, is it allows the business owner to see where in the different sections of his business, where he's making money, where he's not making so much money, and possibly where he's also losing money. Is you're getting good information out of your system. And when you've got information like that, it can also help you going forward to make decisions about where to spend your money in the future to help you make more money. So those are the two primary objectives I've got in helping you as a business owner, is to first of all help you save money, and secondly, to help you make more money. Now, just to take it a step forward, is most of the business owners that I dealt with, while they were experts in the field that their business operated in, as a rule, they were not accountants. They had varying degrees of knowledge about accountancy and accounting reports, but basically none of them were trained accountants, trained as an after-school education. And what I'm trying to do is I've made videos that help you as a business owner understand. I'm not trying to teach you to be an accountant. I'm helping you understand what these reports mean. And to understand what the reports mean is you have to have the absolute basics of accountancy. And I'm not going to go past the absolute basics. And if you can understand the basic maths formula of A plus B equals C plus D, if you can understand the principle of that, and the fact that I could write it the other way around and say C plus D equals A plus B is equally correct. Okay, but by convention, the whole world through, in accountancy, you haven't got left-hand drive and right-hand drive cars. Everybody works the same way around. And by convention, we're working with a simple formula. It's A plus B equals C plus D. And if you can understand that I could subtract D from both sides of that equation, so I could write the A plus B minus D equals C. All I've done is subtract the D from both sides. And then if you can take it one step further and realize that if I add D to both sides again, I'm just back to square one. A plus B equals C plus D. All I've done is add D to both sides. And accountancy works on that very, very, very basic math principle that if you've done junior high school, you've learned that somewhere in your life. There's nothing magic about accountancy at all. So I'm going to show you how the absolute basics of accounting work. And then what I'm going to do is I'll take you through and explain to you what a balance sheet is, what an income statement is. Those are your two fundamental reports that give you the information about what has happened in your business. But they're very basic reports, actually. They're not giving you very direct information about what's going on. And so I'm going to take you further and show you how to set up your business accounting system to give you much more information. You know what I'll do at this stage? I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine used to do life skill coaching, and I went to one of the workshops. It really was about interpersonal communication. And at the workshop, is what he did is he divided all of us that were attending into pairs. And basically, each of us in the pair was given 5 minutes to tell our partner a fairly confidential story. But the partner was not allowed to interrupt at all for that 5 minutes. And after you'd done your 5 minutes, as your partner then was given 2 minutes just to summarize what you've said to him, to show that he's listened and he's understood. And then we swapped roles. So your partner would then spend his 5 minutes speaking to me, and I would give my 2-minute summary back. And there were two very valuable lessons from this workshop. And the first was that if you've got 5 minutes, it doesn't sound like a long time, but when a person isn't interrupting you, and they're just sitting, basically staring at you, smiling sometimes, and whatever it is, that 5 minutes can become quite a long time, because you're raising something that is confidential. You might be expecting, if you were talking, say, to your spouse or your partner, whatever, there's immediate reactions. And there's no reactions at all, because your partner is not allowed to interrupt you. But you can sit there and speak for, let's say, the first minute, and then you actually realize that what you're saying is wrong. It's not based on any fact. It's something that's sitting up here in your head that you bugged about, but it's actually nonsensical. Is as you're talking without being interrupted, is you're realizing that you've got the basic story wrong. And so what you do is you've come in from like that, is you change direction and you start from another side, and then you go back to another side. That was the first lesson about this whole story of communication. Is when you're talking without being interrupted, you're often solving your own problems, because you've got time to think about it. You're not in a fighting match. That was like the first lesson, but that was a minor lesson. Is the major lesson was, I'm the listener now. So my partner is telling me his story. And the story that he wants to tell me, for instance, is my left fist. And he's coming in at an angle. And as he gets to my fist, he veers off in another direction. And then you'd hear him start. He'd come in from another angle. As he gets to the nitty-gritty of what he wants to tell you about, he veers off at another angle. Never ever got into that nitty-gritty. And there's a reason for this. You know, first of all, the person who's talking might be embarrassed about what he or she is actually, what's bugging them. Or it could be an issue that the person doing the talking is worried about the listener reacting badly to whatever the nitty-gritty of their story is. So they're scared to broach it and keep on veering off. And this was actually the whole principle of this workshop, was that you as listener must be able to ask questions diplomatically, nicely, so things don't spiral downwards into a bun fight, is to try and get the person that's doing the talking to actually broach what the core, what's really, really, really bugging them, so that you can sort it out without everything, like I said, disintegrating. And your accounting reports work to a large extent, just like the story that I've told you. Is your basic accounting reports, your balance sheet, your income statement. They're telling you a story, but they're not actually drilling into this nitty-gritty. They're not giving you the absolute reasons of why things are going well or they're going badly, whatever the story is. Is you've got to set up your system so that you've got reports that give you this information. This is what I'm going to help you with. Is first of all, in the workshop, it's assumed that we're all English speaking, and so we can simply understand what the speaker is telling us as a listener. With accounting reports, if you're not an accountant, that's the very first part of the story that I have to cover, is helping you to understand these reports. And that's all that I'm trying to do with you, is just to help you understand them. I'm not trying to make an accountant. I just want you to be able to understand them. And the balance sheet and income statements are totally different reports, yet you have to look at them together. They are related to each other, but they're telling you something completely different about your business. But it's very general information that you're getting. It's all those other reports that come in that drill into that core. And those are the reports. You've got to understand the big reports. These little reports are much easier to understand, but I'll tell you how to get there, to make these little reports. And when you're starting to understand all of these reports, then you are getting information out of your accounting system that means something. It's information, numbers that you can use, that you're understanding to make good business decisions. And these business decisions, because they're based on facts, not what your heart feels, what your instinct says should happen, or why you started this business, what direction you thought you should go in, that's your personal opinion. And you'd like to keep on going in that direction instead of listening to what your customers are saying to you and just watching, where are my customers spending their money? You know, it always sounds obvious from the outside, but that's very simply is your customers are telling you a story. You do this, we like it, we spend the money. You do something else, we don't like it, we don't spend our money. So that is my intention, is to help you save money and to make money by being able to understand, only understand these reports, nothing further than that. I'm not turning you into an accountant. And also, I'm not going to use any accounting software. I'm going to explain the principles to you. And then you must look at your own system and how your business operates. You've got to think out of the box a bit as we go through this. And apply, you might use your consultant. It depends how your software consultant, it depends how big your business is. But if you're just starting your business or you're thinking about starting a business, there's lots of free software out there that basically will automatically set up an accounting system for you. Normally it asks you some questions, fairly simple questions, how you would like to run your stock, but I'll go through those kind of things, and it will automatically set up everything for you without you really having to know anything or understand anything. And I'll also teach you the basic processing in accountancy and how actually when people are just doing their work, they're actually doing accounting transactions at the same time. It's an automatic system. Now, I've told you about my intentions with these videos. So it's there to help you. But I also want you to think about something that has affected me personally. But I am a South African, and we're probably in a much worse situation than, say, first world countries. First world countries being North America, most of Europe, whatever. We're a mix between first world and third world. So, for instance, I'm basically a first world person, but I'm living in a mixed country between first and third world. And the first world countries, I was watching a video, just some excerpts of Elon Musk being interviewed. And he was saying, this is a very recent interview, about how concerned he was about artificial intelligence. Not that it is going to take over the world, but I don't know what AI will do in the long run. But the effect that it's got on normal people, because AI is taking away people's work. If you're in manufacturing, you're in banking, there's all sorts of jobs in the first world, let alone the third world, that you've got your bit of meaning in life because this is your job, this is what you do to earn your money. And machines can take that over. In the third world, it's even worse. And South Africa, in particular, is we're sitting with a situation 30 years into so-called democracy that our country's been governed by the ANC. And we've got two major problems at the moment. There's many more problems, but two absolutely, they're like bombs waiting to explode. And the one story we've got is we've got what the government calls load shedding. We've got one supplier of electricity in this country, and it's been allowed to become basically as decrepit, as useless at the moment. And we're going through 4, 6, 8 or more hours of no electricity per day. And you've got to try and run a business, your own business, when there's no electricity. So you've got to go and spend money on generators, diesel, excuse me, solar systems, whatever, huge amounts of money, just so that you can have electricity. It's when the guys are looking for your vote, when there's any elections, electricity is like water. It's a fundamental right for the whole population. But we haven't got. We're sitting here with this load shedding. The rest of the world, you'd call it blackouts. Obviously, it's not a word that the ANC likes, so they've made this word load shedding. That's one problem that we've got. But we've got another problem. And according to the reports that I've read, about 40% of what they call the youth, and this is mainly black people, and these are the people that the country is supposed to, and I wish they had it, has helped them lift themselves up over the last 30 years. 30 years is quite a long time. It's enough time to be able to educate people, educate 2 generations, let's say, of people, to give them hope in the world, to earn a decent income. Now, 40% unemployed, and there's so little electricity, and you've got artificial intelligence coming into play. The only way that these guys can make any money is by setting up their own business. And I'm making these videos with that goal in mind as well, is to help. It's like me giving the black youth of this country a fishing rod so that they can catch their own fish instead of doing what the government does, which is give them fish to get their vote. I would rather give them the fishing rod. Sorry. So that's really where I'm sitting personally with this whole story. All right. So what I've decided to do is these videos will cover first of all the balance sheet, then the income statement, and then I will link the two of them so that you can see. But those two, there's going to be a little bit of theory, just a little bit. But really, I'm going to be telling you what the story is, what the story is, that you, so that you can understand what these reports are actually telling. You won't have learned this if you did 1 or 2 years of accounting processing at school. Your teacher's never going to, you would have just been taught how to process a cash receipt, a cash payment, a journal entry here and there, or whatever the story is. These reports are actually telling you stories. So that's my first thing. This is the theoretical side of it. And then I'm going to do another video just about cash flow. Cash flow is critical in any business. It doesn't make you any money, but it keeps you in business. You've got to always have money to be able to pay your wages, salaries, rent, everything else that you've got to pay money for. Cash flow is critical. It's one of the most important things in business. And then I'll start drilling in to the different kinds of businesses. A lot of businesses have got a lot of things in common. And then you've got specific needs, depending on how you run your business. So we're going to go, stock is the major item in business. Because for most people, stock is where you're making your money. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're manufacturing, you could be doing installations. You can be doing anything. Retailer, distribution, warehousing, almost all of the time, unless you're in the service business, you're dealing with stock. And stock is the most important thing. And that is where we're going to turn that. In that workshop, the person who's doing the talking, he's bouncing off the core, it's there that we'll start making. Or I'll start showing you how to set up your accounting system so you get these reports that take you to the core of the issues within your business. That's going to be the most important part of these videos. And then I'll just talk a little bit, very generally, about accounting systems and support and backups and all of that sort of nonsense, which is very important. I'm calling it nonsense. But I'm going to leave it at that point, and then I'm going to see what feedback I get, because that feedback will tell me what direction I need to go in the future. And then obviously I can, depending on demand, is keep on making as many videos as are required.